Hey guys, I've got a project right here behind me. I'm going to be working outside on my house. When I bought the house, there was a lot of projects that weren't quite finished. Um, and this door right behind me is a good example. The previous owner looks like they installed a new door but didn't finish off the moldings and putting up the siding to seal it up. So right now it's open to moisture, pests, bugs, all sorts of stuff could cause some damage. So I'm going to work on cleaning that up today. Here's the door that hasn't been sealed off. You can tell that it's been installed, framed up and everything, but there's just a lot of cracks, no siding put up, and no moldings finished it off. And he tried to add some spray foam to seal it up, maybe to insulate it a little bit better. But in my opinion, that just doesn't really work. It just pulls more moisture into the wood and looks really bad. So I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit, add in some moldings, finish off the siding, and then add some lights and outlet, and it should be 100 times better than what it is right now. First, I'm just going to start by cleaning up the area around the door. This way I can have a nice area to work. Right here I've got two pressure treated 2x4s and one regular untreated 2x4, and I'll show you in just a second where this goes and why I bought these. Now anytime you have wood pressed up against stone, brick, or cement, in order to keep the wood from rotting out, you'll want to use pressure treated. That is because the moisture from the cement and stone will just soak right into the wood and over time just cause it to rot out. So that's why I bought two pressure treated 2x4s to go on either side of this doorway and to cover up the gap in between the inside wall and this brick on the outside. Right here I'm going to be using a cement nail gun. Now it's pretty loud, so you'll definitely want to wear some ear protection, but I'm trying to aim for the joints of the mortar, not the brick, because the brick can sometimes tend to be brittle and might break out if I try to shoot the nail in there. So I'm aiming for those mortar joints, and it worked pretty well. Before I fastened the 2x4 up against the wall, I spread some liquid nail underneath, and this glue is really strong. It will help hold the 2x4 up against the brick wall, and it will also help seal it so nothing can get in between that 2x4 and the brick. Now onto the top board. I will not need a pressure treated because the top is just screwed up into the wood. It doesn't come in contact with any cement, so an untreated 2x4 is fine. Once again, I'm just using some liquid nail to fill in the crack and to seal it up so nothing can get in between that 2x4 and the brick wall. For siding, I'm just going to be using some cedar shingles. Now, I'm not an expert at this, but I've done it several times before. The bottom, I'm going to be starting with a spacer so that the pitch will be correct on the first shingle I place. To fasten the shingles up against the wall, I'm using an air-powered staple gun with 3/4 inch staples. I'm using a hatchet to split the cedar down to the right size. The cedar is pretty easy to split, and it typically splits in a very straight line, so this works really well. I cut a little piece of cedar just the right distance so that I can use it to measure each cedar shingle so they're all uniform. Now I'm going to start wiring up the outlet. Now, if you don't have much experience with electrical, I wouldn't suggest trying this at home. Electrical can be very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, and it depends on where you live. Certain states require you to have an electrical license in order to do any electrical around your house. With that said, be careful. Do some research before ever starting a project like this. So what I've done so far is cut those wires that were hanging out of the box about 6 to 8 inches. This way you have room to work, and if you ever need to trim it for some reason, you can trim it down and still have enough wire that is usable. Now I'm also stripping the outer layer of the wire off so that I can see the 3 wires that are on the inside. There's a white wire, black, and ground. The ground does not have any insulation on it. I'm stripping off the insulation about a half an inch on each of these wires. That way I can hook them up to the post on the outlet. I will be installing a outdoor cover on this outlet so that it will keep any water that could happen to fall on this outlet. It will keep the outlet nice and dry and the wiring dry as well. I'll be hooking up the ground wire first to get that out of the way, and you can see I'm leaving a tail hanging off at the end. You can't hook up multiple wires on a single post on these outlets, so I will use that tail hanging off the end to wire nut the other ground wire together. And I'm twisting those two wires together so that the wire nut goes on there easily and it holds on to both of those wires and one doesn't slip out. You want to make sure that wire nut is on there tight and won't have a chance to slip off. The wires have good contact to each other. I'm now bending just the tip of the wire that I stripped in a U shape so that I can hook it around the screw and tighten the screw down. Now you want to make sure when you're putting these loops on the screws, before you tighten them down, you want to make sure they're going clockwise. That way when you tighten down the screw, it doesn't push the wire off of the post, and instead it tightens the wire down on the screw. Now I'm using a drill to tighten these screws. I'm being very careful not to strip the screw out or over tighten it, but you do want the screws to be tight so that it has a good contact up against the wires and nothing shorts out or sparks. Lastly, I'll be hooking up the hot wires, the black ones. These are dead right now. I have shut the power off and checked it with my electrical tester, so I know they're safe, so I can work on them. Now, as I was working, I found a couple spots that the insulation had been scraped off. Whoever ran the wiring last did not pay attention to that or had damaged some of the wires, and I don't have enough wire to pull it through and cut off the bad spot, so I'm going to use some electrical tape and make sure I wrap that on there really good and insulate those wires where the insulation has been scratched off so nothing will short out and it'll be safe. There's still a few gaps that I need to fill with the glue and seal up before I finish the job today. Here's the caulk I'll be using. It's white, 40-year warranty, indoor-outdoor caulk. It's fairly cheap, and I bought about 5 of these so I can seal up all the windows and doors around my house. Alright guys, I finished up the doorway. Everything's all set. I just finished putting up the caulk around the doorway and swept everything up and picked up all my tools. The sun's just about ready to set, so I finished it just in time. But I've got it the way I want it, and I don't have to worry about anything damaging it any longer, so I'm happy with it. I'm going to try to clean up the rest of my windows and seal them up before fall, but I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you have an older house or something, it definitely would be worth checking out and seeing if you could do just to keep your house protected from potential damage. Alright guys, that finishes up my video for today. I get so excited seeing these before and after videos. It's rewarding to see something so ugly turn out great. I love it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And also, if you found this helpful or you think this would be for other people, just share this with people you know through Facebook. And also don't forget to like this video down below and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.